My name is Marty. I'm 74 years old. I retired at 67 with what I thought was margin. Not wealth, just margin. I had a fixed pension, Social Security, a house that was paid off. I thought life would narrow slowly, that I'd see the changes coming, that I'd have time to adjust before the next one arrived. But that's not what happened. The changes came faster than the adjustments could land. Somewhere between one shift and the next, the room I thought I had disappeared. I'm not in crisis, but the margin is gone. And once it's gone, it doesn't come back. The promise wasn't abundance, it was time. Time between changes, time to recalibrate, time to absorb one shift before the next one hit. I thought costs would rise gradually, that I would see them coming, that I could trim a little here, delay a little there, and stay ahead. But they didn't rise gradually, they accelerated, and the gap between adjustments kept shrinking until there was no gap left at all. I thought retirement meant stability. I thought the hard part was over. I thought once I stopped working, the variables would stop too. But the variables didn't stop, they sped up. It started with property tax. The county reassessed and the bill went up, not by a devastating amount, just higher than I expected. So I adjusted. I cut back on a few things. I stayed even. Then homeowners insurance doubled. 6 months later, I adjusted again. I canceled a subscription. I stopped replacing things that wore out. Then utilities spiked. Then the car needed new tires. Then the Medicare supplement premium jumped mid-year. Each change arrived before the last adjustment had settled. I wasn't falling behind because the costs were enormous. I was falling behind because they kept coming. The time between them kept shrinking, and my income didn't move. It was fixed. That was the deal. That was what I planned for. But life kept moving faster. I would make an adjustment and it would work for a while. Then something else would change, and the adjustment wouldn't be enough anymore. I wasn't making bad decisions and I wasn't overspending. I was just running out of room to adjust. Every time I cut something, the next cost increase took back what I had saved, and eventually there was nothing left to cut. The adjustments were always backward-looking. I would wait to see what the new cost was, then figure out what to cut to cover it. But by the time I made the cut, something else had already changed. I was always one step behind, and the steps kept getting shorter. I have photos on the table in front of me, old ones, the kind with thick paper and bent corners. There's one from a work retirement party, 20 people in the frame, cake on a table, someone's hand on my shoulder. I am smiling. There's another one from a picnic, a blanket on the ground, faces I don't talk to anymore. Not because of a fight, just because there is no room left for the phone call. There is one with my brother. We are standing in front of a truck, his truck, I think, or maybe it was mine. It doesn't matter now. I am holding these photos, and what I notice is not the people, it's the space between moments. There used to be time between things. There was time to sit, time to call someone, time to drive somewhere that didn't need to happen. Those photos show a life that had width. Now I sit in the same chair every day, and the width is gone. Not because I am older, because the adjustments never stopped coming, and I ran out of things to cut. I look at a photo from a barbecue. There are 6 people around a table. I recognize all of them. I haven't seen any of them in years. Not because we don't care about each other, because there is no margin left for the drive, for the meal, for the time it takes to be somewhere that isn't necessary. The photos are stacked in a pile. Some are bent, some are covering others. I can't see all the faces anymore. There's one near the bottom. I can only see part of it, a shoulder, the edge of a smile. I know who it is, but I don't pull it out. I just leave it where it is. I thought the adjustments would be temporary, thought I would cut back for a while, and then things would stabilize, and I could add a few things back. But things did not stabilize. The adjustments became permanent, and then they became insufficient. I stopped going out to eat, and that saved money for a while. But then the grocery bill went up, and the savings disappeared. I canceled the newspaper. I stopped driving unless I had to. The savings lasted months at first, then weeks, then days. Each adjustment bought me a little time, but the time kept getting shorter. I would adjust, and 3 months later I would need to adjust again, then 2 months, then 6 weeks, and eventually I ran out of things I could cut without cutting into survival. I still have the house, the car, food, but I don't have room anymore. Room to absorb a surprise, room to help someone, room to do something that is not strictly necessary. The room is gone. There is a photo of me and 3 other men standing in a driveway. We are holding tools. I believe we were working on something. I don't remember what. But I remember the afternoon. It wasn't planned. Someone called and said they needed help, and I went. That doesn't happen anymore. Not because I don't want to help. It's because I can't afford the gas. I can't afford the time away from managing the bills. I can't afford the risk that something will break while I'm gone, and I won't have the margin to fix it. There's another photo. A group of us sitting on folding chairs in someone's garage. Cooler on the ground. Cards on a table. I don't remember the conversation, but I remember that it did not cost anything to be there. Now everything costs something. Not just money, time, energy. The mental space it takes to calculate whether I can afford it. I thought retirement would mean less calculating. It means more. Every trip to the store is calculated. Every tank of gas is calculated. Every phone call that might lead to an invitation is calculated before I answer. Not because I am miserly, but because I don't have room for mistakes. I thought I had built enough margin to last. I had done what I was supposed to do. I had worked for 42 years. I had paid off the house. I had saved what I could. I had waited until full retirement age to take Social Security. I thought that would be enough. And for a while it was. But the margin I built assumed the variables would stay variable within a predictable range. They didn't. The range kept expanding, and my income stayed exactly where it was. I started retirement with a cushion, not a large one, but enough that I didn't have to think about every purchase. That cushion disappeared in the first 3 years, not because I was reckless, because costs moved faster than I could adjust. By year 4, I was managing month to month. By year 6, I was managing week to week. Now I'm managing day to day, and there's no more room to compress. I thought the margin would protect me from having to choose between necessities, but the margin did not protect me. It just delayed the moment when the choosing started. Now I choose all the time, between the medication that works better and the one that costs less, between fixing something now and hoping it lasts another year, between answering the phone and avoiding the conversation that might cost me something I don't have. I pick up another photo. It's from a birthday party. Not mine, someone else's. There are balloons in the background, a cake with candles. I'm in the photo, but I'm not the focus. I'm just there. That's what I notice now. In all of these photos, I'm just there. Not because I was important, not because I was needed. It was just because I had the time and the margin to show up. I don't show up anymore. I don't go to birthdays. I don't go to barbecues. I don't go to someone's garage on a Saturday. Not because I don't care. It's because the margin that made showing up possible is gone. I thought life would narrow in a way I could see coming. I thought I would have time to adjust my expectations, time to say goodbye to things gradually. But it didn't narrow gradually, it compressed. And now I'm holding photos of a life that had room for people, and I'm living in a present that doesn't. There's a photo here of a camping trip. Tents in the background, cooler open, someone is laughing. I remember the trip cost almost nothing. We split the gas. We brought our own food. We used old equipment that had been sitting in garages for years. It wasn't about the money. It was about the time. And I had the time then. Now I don't have time. Not because my schedule is full, because the mental load of managing scarcity takes all the time there is. I thought I'd see it coming. I thought there would be a moment where I could stop and recalibrate and decide what mattered most. But there was no moment. There was just one adjustment after another. each one smaller than the last until there was nothing left to adjust. I'm not angry. I'm not even surprised anymore. So here I am, just sitting here with a stack of photos, looking at a version of life that had space in it, and knowing that space is not coming back. The people in these photos are not gone. Most of them are still alive, still living nearby. But the version of me that had margin enough to be with them is gone, and that version doesn't come back. I thought I had room to adjust. I thought the changes would come slowly enough that I could stay ahead of them. But they didn't, and now the room is gone. Not the money, the time.